Izvolite sjesti.
You can take your seats.
Ponovio bih da sam vrlo sretan i zahvalan što možemo provoditi ovo vrijeme zajedno.
I want to say again that I'm happy and thankful for being able to spend this time together with you.
I pred nama je tema koja mislim da je vrlo važna za nas i u našem životu.
And we're about to study a topic which is very important for us in our lives.
I u donošenju odluka.
And it is about making decisions.
I zato bih prepustio riječ bratu Ozrenu da nastavi.
So I will let Brother Ozren continue with the topic. I'm so happy, really, to be looking at this growing number in the congregation.
Stvarno sam jako sretan što gledam ovako broj koji raste u ovom skupu.
So as we're getting closer to the Sabbath, there's more and more people coming, and that's beautiful.
Kako se približamo suboti, sve više i više ljudi dolazi i to je prekrasno.
An interesting thing is that the number of people here and here is also growing.
Zanimljiva stvar je da broj ljudi ovdje i ovdje također raste.
So the musical program is beginning to wake up.
Tako da se glazbeni program budi.
So this whole seminar is dedicated to the topic which seems to be pretty broad.
Ovaj cijeli seminar je posvećen temi koja se čini da je prilično široka.
We're talking about light.
Govorimo o svjetlosti.
On our paths.
Na našim putevima.
That's very broad.
To je prilično široko.
And we've been covering the majors in life.
I prolazili smo kroz neke glavne puteve u životu.
So we've divided this into sections about the marriage, about professions, about religion.
Podijelili smo ovo u razmišljanja o braku, o religiji, o zanimanjima.
And this one seems to be more vague. What is this about?
I ova tema nije toliko jasna, nekako je o čemu se ono ovdje radi.
So this topic is in a way connecting all the other topics we've talked about.
Ova tema na neki način povezuje sve teme o kojima smo do sad govorili.
So to begin, we first need to build a foundation, a doctrinal foundation about what we're going to explore.
I prvo trebamo uspostaviti jedan duhovni temelj i doktrinu onome što ćemo proučavati.
We as Adventists, we believe in free will.
Mi kao adventisti vjerujemo u slobodnu volju.
We don't believe in predestination.
Ne vjerujemo u predestinaciju.
We believe that we have a choice.
Već vjerujemo da imamo izbor.
And the question here about our free will, how does our will work?
I pitanje o slobodnoj volji, kako naša slobodna volja radi.
And it is a very interesting concept.
I to je vrlo zanimljiv koncept.
And we can compare it to computer science and to machines.
Možemo to usporediti sa znanosti o računalima i strojevima.
Which are extremely intelligent.
Koji su vrlo inteligentni.
However, the will of the computers
ali volja računala
is deterministic.
Je deterministička.
Or is random.
Ili nasumična.
So what does it mean for the will to be deterministic?
Što to znači da je volja deterministička?
It means that there's a clear correlation between a cause and effect.
Znači da postoji jasan slijed od uzroka do posljedice.
So every time I click this arrow, I'm going back.
Svaki put kad kliknem ovu strelicu, idem unazad.
Every time I click this arrow, I'm going to the front.
Svaki put kad kliknem drugu strelicu, idem unaprijed.
Okay? Very deterministic, very deterministic.
Vrlo determinističko.
We want our computers to be reliable, right? We want them to obey.
Želimo da naša računala budu pouzdana i da nas slušaju.
However, machines can also operate on a random. This is a different way of behavior.
Međutim, strojevi također mogu raditi nasumično.
And this is totally unpredictable. It's random.
I to je potpuno nepredvidljivo, nasumično.
So where is our will here? Is it deterministic or is it random?
I gdje je naša volja? Je li ona deterministična ili nasumična?
So you can train a computer to play chess.
Možete istrenirati računalo da igra šah.
And it plays chess better than the humans.
Igra šah bolje nego ljudi.
It beats humans.
Pobjeđuje ljude.
And it makes choices, right? It makes intelligent choices.
I donosi inteligentne izbore.
But unless we program it that way,
ali osim ako ga mi tako ne isprogramiramo,
the machine is never going to decide, I'm going to let this guy win to feel better.
Stroj nikad neće odlučiti, pustit ću ovog da pobjedi kako bi se osjećao bolje.
I'm playing with a child, I'm not going to beat the child.
Ili igram protiv djeteta, neću ga pobijediti.
Or the machine is never going to say, I give up from this stupid game.
Ili stroj nikad neće reći, odustajem od ove glupe igre.
So the machine is deterministic or it's random.
Znači, stroj je determinističan ili nasumičan.
And many people believe, both scientists and Christians, that the will is in a way similar, our will.
I mnogi ljudi vjeruju da je naša volja također deterministička.
So not to go deeper into this, we believe in the free will.
Da ne ulazimo dublje u ovo, mi vjerujemo u slobodnu volju.
And when God says, choose you this day whom you will serve,
I kad Bog kaže, danas odaberite kome ćete služiti,
it means that God holds us accountable for the choice.
to znači da nas Bog drži odgovornima za naš izbor.
It means that our will can and must choose.
Znači da naša volja mora i treba izabrati.
So this was the introduction about the free will, but now something relevant for young people.
I ovo je bio uvod u slobodne volji, ali sada nešto važno i relevantno za mlade ljude.
I met a new friend here. I'm still looking for his head.
Upoznao sam jednog novog prijatelja, mladog tu,
And I asked him a question, how old are you?
i pitao sam ga koliko imaš godina.
He said he was 18.
Rekao je da ima 18 godina.
And I said, awesome, congratulations, welcome to the adults.
I rekao sam mu, super, čestitke, dobrodošao u odrasli svijet.
And he responded, I'm not very excited about it.
I on rekao, nisam baš sretan u vezi toga.
Why not?
Zašto? Zašto ne?
I found the head, by the way.
Pronašao sam ga u publici.
Well, because it brings responsibilities.
Pa donosi odgovornosti.
So what is growing up? What does growing up mean?
Što je odrastanje? Što odrastanje podrazumijeva?
Well, it basically means that you get more and more responsibilities in your life.
Znači da ćete dobivati sve više i više odgovornosti u svojem životu.
And having more responsibilities, you need to make more decisions and more choices.
I s više odgovornosti morate donositi više odluka i izbora u svom životu.
Little children don't have responsibilities.
Mala djeca nemaju odgovornosti.
I have a 3-year-old girl, I have a 6-year-old boy.
Imam
And-
trogodišnju kćerku i šestogodišnjeg sina
They don't have responsibilities.
i oni nemaju odgovornosti.
They go to a school which my wife and I have chosen for them.
Idu u školu koju smo moja žena i ja odlučili.
They hang out with friends that we have pre-selected.
Druže se sa prijateljima koje smo mi unaprijed predodredili.
They go out when we decide to.
Izlaze van kada mi to odlučimo.
They go to sleep when we say so.
Idu spavati kad mi tako kažemo.
Okay, my baby girl actually tries to push back on this.
Moja kćerka se pomalo bori protiv toga,
But in the end, she gives up, so she obeys, right?
ali na kraju se preda i posluša.
So we decide for them, we make decisions for them, and they don't have responsibility.
Mi odlučujemo za njih, donosimo odluke za njih i oni nemaju odgovornosti.
But then as you grow up, you begin to get more and more responsibilities.
Ali kako odrastate, dobivate sve više i više odgovornosti.
So at some point, being, I don't know, 10 years, 12 years,
Sa 10 ili 12 godina
you have a phone in your hands, right? Already?
imate već mobitel u rukama.
So you're already making choices what you're going to click on.
Donosite odluke o tome što ćete kliknuti.
You get more and more choices in your life.
Dobivate više i više izbora u svojem
And then
životu.
there's this crazy time of life between 15 and 25, let's say 15 to 25.
I onda je jedno ludo razdoblje između otprilike 15 do 25 godina.
And many of you are in that time span.
I mnogo od vas je u tom vremenskom razdoblju.
Sorry, can we just reduce the echo, the volume?
Možemo
Very
se
loud.
malo spustiti.
So many of you are in this period between 15 and 25 years old.
Mnogo od vas je u razdoblju od 15 do 25 godina.
And this is the time when you have to make major decisions.
I ovo je razdoblje u kojem morate donijeti velike
So
odluke.
now you're choosing your profession.
Odlučite o svojem zanimanju,
You're choosing your university.
o svojem
You're-
faksu,
You're choosing where to go, where to live.
gdje ići, gdje
You
živjeti.
choose your friends, though your parents don't do that anymore.
Izabirate svoje prijatelje, to više ne rade vaši roditelji.
You even choose your partner, your boyfriend, girlfriend.
Izabirate svoje partnere, curu, dečka.
You choose your religion.
Birate svoju religiju.
So growing up means more responsibilities.
Znači, odrastanje donosi više odgovornosti.
And even older, when you get a bit older, you're completely responsible for yourself.
Čak i kad postanete stariji, ste potpuno odgovorni za sebe.
And then at some point you become even more responsible for other people.
I zatim u jednom trenutku postanete još više odgovorni za druge ljude.
The little ones.
Malene,
Or if you're a manager or you have your company, you're responsible for your employees.
ili ako ste menadžer, odgovorni ste za svoje zaposlenike.
Okay, so great responsibilities need good decisions.
I velike odgovornosti trebaju dobre odluke.
And there's this interesting concept. It's a management concept.
I postoji jedan zanimljiv koncept
And
u managementu.
And what we're going to read now, this is not the words of inspiration. This is business advice, pure business.
I ovo što ćemo čitati nisu citati duha proroštva, ovo je znači čisto poslovno.
So it says, interestingly, some decisions are consequential and irreversible, or nearly irreversible.
Piše da su neke odluke donose posljedice i da su nepovratne ili gotovo nepovratne.
One-way doors.
Jednosmjerna vrata.
And these decisions must be made methodically, carefully, slowly, with great deliberation and consultation.
I ove odluke moraju biti učinjene metodično, pažljivo, sporo i sa velikom pažnjom i konzultacijama.
So you walk through the door,
prođete kroz vrata
and you don't like what you see on the other side.
I ne sviđa vam se ono što vidite na drugoj strani.
But it's too late, no going back.
Ali prekasno je, nema povratka nazad.
But most decisions aren't like that.
Ali većina odluka nisu takve.
They're changeable, reversible.
One su promjenjive i povratne.
They're two-way doors.
To su dvosmjerna vrata.
And if you've made it suboptimally, you don't have to live with the consequences for so long.
I ako niste donijeli najbolju odluku, ne morate živjeti s posljedicama toliko dugo.
You just take a look, you don't like what you see, you go back.
Otvorite vrata, vidite što vam se ne sviđa i vratite se nazad.
So this type of decisions needs to be made quickly.
I ovakve vrste odluka trebaju biti donesene brzo.
You shouldn't have to ask your manager and the CEO for permission on such a decision. Just do it.
Ne biste trebali pitati 10 slojeva menadžera kako bi se učinili te odluke, već samo ih trebate donijeti.
So, speaking now about the words of inspiration, now we're no longer in business.
I sada čitamo citate, odnosno riječi duha proroštva, više nismo u poslovnom svijetu.
It says here that if a man is divided, undecided, unsettled,
piše ako je čovjek podijeljen, neodlučan i
until he is sure that he will lose nothing,
i nesmješten dok nije siguran da neće ništa izgubiti,
he shows that he is a man God cannot use.
On pokazuje da je on čovjek kojeg Bog ne može koristiti.
So you know what this means.
Znate što ovo znači?
There's a group of friends, so where are we going to go today?
Grupa prijatelja razgovara gdje ćemo ići danas.
I don't know, where would you go?
Ne znam, gdje bi ti išao.
I don't know, what would you go?
Ne znam, gdje bi ti išao.
I don't know.
Ne znam.
So in the end, like, make a choice.
Na kraju donesi odluku.
And it says here that this is oftentimes happens in the church between leadership.
I govori se o tome da ovo se često događa u crkvi među vodstvom.
You need to make a decision, but then like, oh, I'm not 100% sure, something is missing.
Treba da se donijeti odluka, ali nisam potpuno sigurni, nešto nedostaje.
I don't know, I'm afraid.
Bojim se.
This brother is going to say something, I'm not sure.
Ovaj brat će reći nešto, nisam siguran.
Make a decision.
Donesi odluku.
And Ellen White says that hesitant leadership is weak leadership.
I Ellen White kaže da je neodlučno vodstvo slabo vodstvo.
And this is a very interesting one. I wouldn't expect to find this in the book.
I ovo je snažan citat koji ne bi očekivao da pronađemo u knjizi.
It says that it is even more excusable to make a wrong decision.
Piše da je bolje i manja pogreška donijeti krivu odluku
than not to make any decisions.
Već ne napraviti nikakvu odluku.
The point here being, do not be hesitant.
Točka je, znači, poanta je da ne oklijevamo.
So, when it comes to making decisions, they come from our free will.
Kada govorimo o odlukama, one dolaze od naše slobodne volje.
And metaphorically speaking, will is a muscle.
I metaforički govoreći, slobodna volja je jedan mentalni mišić.
And what do you need to do with your muscles to build your muscles?
I što trebate raditi sa mišićima kako biste ih vježbali?
Use them. Push.
Koristiti ih.
So,
gurati.
to learn how to make decisions and not to be a hesitant person that God cannot use,
kako bismo naučili donositi odluke, a ne biti osoba koja oklijeva i koju Bog ne može koristiti,
we need to make many.
Moramo donositi puno odluka.
And there's a question, how much should we know?
I postavlja se pitanje koliko toga trebamo znati.
And I'm not going to go into another business advice.
Neću ići još jedne poslovne savjete.
But experts are saying that you shouldn't expect to know everything.
Ali stručnjaci govore da ne očekujete da znate sve.
Because you'll never know everything, then you'll never make a decision.
Jer nikad nećete znati sve i nikada nećete donijeti odluku.
The magical number is 70%.
Magični broj je 70%.
So you need to gather information, and then make a decision.
Trebate prikupiti informacije i zatim donijeti odluku.
And the Bible tells us that an assistance for us to make quality decisions and to gather information for the decisions
Biblija nam kaže da je asistent za nas da donosimo ispravne odluke i da prikupimo informacije za te odluke,
is to have many counselors.
da je velika pomoć imati puno savjetnika.
Plans fail for lack of counsel,
Nakane propadaju kad nema vijećanja,
but with many advisors they succeed.
a ostvaruju se gdje je mnogo savjetnika.
So it's interesting.
Zanimljivo je.
Even though we believe that God leads us,
Iako vjerujemo da nas Bog vodi,
you know that beautiful song, He leadeth me.
znate onu prekrasnu pjesmu On vodi me.
We believe that humans around us,
Vjerujemo da ljudi oko nas,
wise people with experience,
mudri ljudi sa iskustvom,
consecrated and faithful,
posvećeni i sveti,
they have a role to play in our lives, in our decisions.
imaju uloge u našem životu.
You need mentors. We talked about this today.
Trebate mentore, o tome smo govorili danas.
So now we're coming to the concept of, we're not using the metaphor of the doors,
Više ne koristimo metaforu vrata,
but the path.
već koristimo metaforu puteva.
So what is a one-way path?
Što je to jednosmjeran put?
We heard a lot about this verse yesterday from Brother Radu.
Puno smo čuli o ovom stihu jučer od brata Radua.
It says that there is a way that appears to be right,
Piše da postoji put koji se čini prav,
but the end
ali
leads to
kraj
death.
vodi u smrt.
I remember there's one poem which I like to recite.
Postoji jedna pjesma koju volim u subotu.
I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to recite the poem.
Neću ju izrecitirati,
But it begins like this.
ali počinje ovako.
It says, two roads diverged in a yellow wood.
Dvije ceste se razdvajaju
U žutoj jesenskoj šumi.
u jesenskoj šumi.
And the message of the song is that we are coming to the crossroads in our lives.
I poruka pjesme je da dolazimo na raskrsnice u našem životu.
And when we reach those crossroads, we need to make a choice.
I kad dođemo do tih raskrsnica, trebamo donijeti odluku.
And the poet here is saying, I was looking down one, like looking what's happening here.
I pjesnik govori da je došao i gledao niz jedan put, gledao šta je tamo.
Using the imagination, who knows what lies beyond the bend, right?
Koristio maštu, što je tamo iza krivine.
But then he actually took the other.
Ali je zatim krenuo drugim
And
putem.
then initially he thought, okay, I mean, I'll save the first one for some other day. I'll go back.
I rekao, sačuvat ću onaj drugi put za neki drugi dan, vratit ću se.
But interestingly, in the next verse, he's very aware that it's not going to happen.
Ali u sljedećem stihu je svjestan da se to neće dogoditi.
Because a way leads on to another way.
Jer put vodi do dalje raskrsnica.
So each of those has its own paths which are spreading and spreading and spreading.
I svaki od daljnjih puteva ima dalje puteve koji se šire.
So that is what happens in our lives. We make decisions and they lead us on a path.
I to je u našem životu mi donosimo odluke koje nas vode na nekim putem.
So speaking about one-way paths, it is important to be careful not to begin a wrong path.
I govoreći o jednosmjernim putevima, važno je da ne krenemo krivim jednosmjernim putevima.
So some of the basic things which young people are facing as a challenge as well.
Neki od glavnih izazova s kojima se mladi susreću
Are temptations with the peer pressure. Brother Adrian talked about this.
su iskušenja sa pritiskom vršnjaka.
So I mean like it's just one cigarette, just one.
Samo jedna cigareta.
It's not going to
Samo
kill you.
jedna.
Is it going to kill you?
Hoćete to ubiti?
It's just like a single tequila shot.
Jedna žestica tekile.
Just one. It's not going to do any harm for you.
Samo jedan, nećete ništa škoditi.
Just a single party. Like, and by the way, it's my birthday. Like, it's just a single party. You can come.
Samo jedna zabava, još i moj rođendan, samo jedna.
So fine, we take the path because like there's no consequence. It's just a simple decision.
I dobro, mi krenemo putem jer to nema nikakvih posljedica.
I'm going to make this bet or like play this gambling game, just one.
Jednom ću se kladit, samo jednom, to je.
But many people have experienced shipwrecks.
Ali mnogi ljudi su doživjeli brodolome.
Because this one decision led to another, to another, to another.
Jer je ova jedna odluka dovela do druge i sljedeće.
And not all, but many of them were led to addictions.
I ne svi, ali mnogi su dovođeni ovisnosti.
And I'm not a doctor, but addiction is a condition.
I nisam doktor, ali ovisnost je stanje.
So being addicted means it's hard to go back, right?
I znači da kada ste ovisni, teško je vratiti se.
So there's science in how to get an addicted person away from the addiction. Like it's in their mind and body somehow, right?
Znači, postoji težak put kako vratiti osobu iz ovisnosti, to je u njihovom cijelom umu.
And sometimes it begins with a simple decision.
I ponekad to kreće sa jednostavnim odlukama.
So I like this example, like roller coaster.
Volim ovaj primjer.
And roller coasters are safe, okay?
Znači, ovi vlakići su sigurni.
However, imagine this.
Ali zamislite ovo.
Like you are standing in the line, and normally there's a long line. You wait half an hour if it's an attractive roller coaster.
Stojite u redu i ako je dobar vlakić, to je dugačak red.
You can give up at any point. You can just say no, I'm not doing this.
I u bilo kom trenutku možete odustati i reći ne, neću ovo
You can
napraviti.
even sit down at the roller coaster and say no, I'm not doing this.
Možete sjesti na mjesto i još odustati i reći ne želim ovo.
But then they buckle you up
Ali onda vas zavežu
and they leave.
i odu.
And it's too late.
I onda je prekasno.
Just try to scream. Please let me out.
Pokušajte vrištati, vikati, pustite me.
Everybody's screaming, right?
Svi viču.
You don't know if people are screaming out of fear, out of excitement, out of joy. Everybody's screaming.
Ne znate li ljudi vrište zbog straha, zbog uživanja, svi vrište.
Once you buckle up, it's done. It's a one-way path.
Jednom kad ste zavezani, gotovo je. To je jednosmjeran put.
I went whitewater rafting on the River Nile.
Išao sam na rafting na rijeci Nil.
And when you go whitewater rafting in Europe, USA, it's safe.
I kad idete na rafting u Europi,
We have
to je
laws,
sigurno.
right? We have laws.
Imamo zakone.
It's a bit different in Africa.
U Africi je malo drugačije.
So there was this final waterfall which was called Itanda,
Postoje zadnji vodopad koji se zvao
which means
Itanda,
the bad place.
što znači loše mjesto.
And you're paddling down the River Nile, which is quiet and calm, and like you're just enjoying the sunshine.
Veslate niz rijeku Nil, sve je mirno, uživate u zalasku sunca.
And then at some point you hear thunder.
U jednom trenutku čujete grmljavinu.
It's sunny day,
Sunčano je,
but there's thunder.
ali grmi.
And the closer you get, it's more and more loud.
I što se više približavate, sve je glasnije.
And then this Itanda is actually dangerous.
I ovaj slap je zapravo opasan.
So the guides are asking you a question. Before we get to this one point, you can choose to go off on the shore and walk around the waterfalls.
I vodiči pitaju, ako želite možete izaći prije slapa i obići obalom.
Which many people do. Like they've done a few other falls before that, but this is the final one. Here you can choose.
I znači, mnogi ljudi odaberu otići pješice.
And then if you choose not to and to stay,
Ali ako odlučite ostati,
there's a few more seconds of paddling,
ima još nekoliko sekundi veslanja
and then you cross the point of no return.
i pređete granicu nepovratka.
You cannot paddle back.
Ne možete veslati
It
nazad.
doesn't work.
Ne funkcionira.
And then you know you're going to drop.
I onda znate da ćete pasti.
There is, if you're thinking about the Bible, there is a story about an interesting one-way path.
Ako radite o Bibliji, postoji priča o zanimljivom jednosmjernom putu.
And, sorry, we have a minute.
Imamo minutu.
So somebody
Netko
told me just before this, when this somebody saw this picture,
kad je netko vidio ovu sliku, malo prije,
he thought I was going to talk about an interesting experience he had.
Mislio je da će govoriti o zanimljivom iskustvu koje je on imao.
So basically, there was. You should tell this. You should tell the experience. You do it. I'll translate.
Okay. Moj otac ima puno voćaka u voćnjaku.
Okay. So my father has an orchard with many like trees,
I nažalost jedna voćka se osušila.
and there was one of those trees which was dry,
On je rekao, Igore, odi i izvadi tu voćku.
and he said, Igor, go and cut this tree down.
Ja sam bio poslušan,
I was a good boy,
otišao sam, izvadio sam voćku,
so I went to the tree. I took it down.
no, nisam ju sasjekao, izvadio sam sa korijenom.
I took it out together with the roots.
Odrezao sam korijenja
I cut the roots
kako bi se moglo to rasporediti i baciti znači, u otpad.
so that we can spread it out and throw it away.
Znači, napravio sam i više nego što se očekivalo.
So I did more than my father expected.
I zatim je došao moj otac.
And then my father came.
I rekao, Igore, ovo je suha voćka.
And he said, Igor, this was the dry tree.
Not this one.
Not this one.
Yeah.
So what I love about this story is that it's a one-way path.
I ono što volim u ovoj priči je to jednosmjeran put.
Like once you cut down the wrong tree, there's no going back and putting it back into the earth.
Jednom kad porežete drvo, stablo, nema povratka da ga vratite nazad u zemlju.
Okay, but that's not the story. That's not what I planned to tell.
Ali to nije priča koju sam planirao reći.
I planned to have us remember a story from 6,000 years ago.
Razmišljao sam da se sjetimo priče prije 6.000 godina.
And there was a choice to eat or not to eat.
I postoji izbor jesti ili ne jesti.
Come on, it's just one fruit.
Ajde, to je samo jedan plod.
There was actually a person in the form of a snake, a serpent, saying that.
Postojala je osoba u obliku zmije koja je to govorila.
Come on, it's just one fruit.
Ajde, samo jedan plod, jedno voće.
It's actually going to do you good. It's actually going to be good for you.
Zapravo će biti dobro za tebe.
And they fell.
I pali su.
They made a decision.
Donijeli su odluku.
And this path opened another path and another path and another path.
I ova odluka i put je otvorio sljedeći put i sljedeći.
And our earth has been bleeding ever since.
I naša zemlja krvari od tada.
So we literally, like, we're happy here, right? I'm happy.
I mi smo sretni tu. Ja sam sretan.
We're blessed.
Blagoslovljeni smo.
And often in our lives we're so blessed that we forget that this is a terrible place.
I često smo u našim životima toliko blagoslovljeni da zaboravimo da je ovo užasno mjesto.
Then we hear about wars.
Čujemo o ratovima,
Then we hear about disease.
o bolestima,
And then people die.
onda ljudi umru.
And we're reminded this is a terrible place.
I podsjećani smo da je ovo užasno mjesto.
So, speaking about irreversible decisions, what are they? What are the one-way decisions?
I govoreći o nepovratnim odlukama, koje su to odluke?
So you choose the wrong profession.
Odaberete pogrešno zanimanje.
You do it wrong. You don't follow the principles. You don't even pray. You just make a choice and it's bad.
Učinite lošu odluku, niti se ne molite, niti planirate, jednostavno je loša odluka.
It's going to cost you.
Koštat će vas,
It might be painful,
bit će bolno možda,
but there's probably some recovery.
ali vjerojatno postoji neki povratak.
So in my life, I made some suboptimal decisions, I would say, about my careers.
U svojem životu sam donio neke suboptimalne odluke.
And I believe that despite my suboptimal decisions,
I bez obzira na njih,
I believe that through God's providence, He led me to the better path.
Vjerujem da je kroz Božju providnost da me Bog vodio na bolji put.
I have that experience.
Imam to iskustvo.
So this is not irreversible, really.
Ovo nije u potpunosti nepovratno.
Or a place to live. We heard about this today. How to choose a good place to live.
Ili mjesto gdje ćemo živjeti, o tome smo slušali danas.
And Lot made a bad decision here. He chose a wrong place to live.
Kako odabrati to mjesto i čuli smo i Lot je napravio lošu odluku po tom pitanju.
Going to a big city called Sodoma, it's not a good choice.
Otići u veliki grad zvan Sodoma nije dobra
And he
odluka.
suffered, he lost his wife as a consequence. There were terrible things coming out of that.
I on je zbog toga izgubio ženu i velike druge teške posljedice.
But God's angels literally took him by his arm and dragged him out of the city. So it was reversible in the end.
Ali Božji anđeli su ga doslovno uzeli za ruku i izvukli iz grada i na neki način je ponovo bila povratna odluka na kraju.
Okay, so these decisions in the end, they are reversible.
I ove odluke su ipak povratne.
There is one decision which is not.
Postoji jedna odluka koja nije.
I believe this is the place.
Vjerujem da je ovo mjesto.
So I made a decision on this place
Donio sam odluku na ovom mjestu
11 years ago.
prije 11 godina.
Okay. My wife made a decision 11 years ago
Moja žena je donijela odluku prije 11 godina
on this place.
na ovom mjestu.
And brother Peter Laušević was here
I brat Peter Laušević je bio ovdje
to make sure we make a good decision.
da osigura da donesemo ispravnu odluku.
So is this decision a reversible decision?
Je li ova odluka povratna?
Well, I already said that the topics that I talked about, such as education and profession choice, are very important.
Već sam rekao da su odluke i teme o kojima sam govorio, znači obrazovanja i zanimanja, važne
But
teme,
I don't think they are the most important decisions.
ali ne vjerujem da su one najvažnije odluke.
So here we're talking about an irreversible decision.
Govorimo o nepovratnoj odluci.
And in the book, The Adventist Home, Ellen White writes the following about for people who are contemplating marriage.
I u knjizi Adventistički dom Ellen White piše o odlukama i mladima koji razmišljaju o braku.
And it says that this step taken unwisely is one of the most effective means of ruining
I
people.
piše da je ovaj korak, ako je učinjen nemudro, jedan od najefektivnijih načina za uništavanje ljudi.
Life becomes a burden, a curse.
Život postaje teret, prokletstvo.
A man ruins a woman's happiness.
Čovjek uništava ženinu sreću
A woman chills the hopes and aspirations of a man.
i žena zamrzava i hladi nade muškarca.
And it says that from the marriage hour,
I piše da je od sata braka, znači ulaska u brak,
that many men and women date, they're either success or failure in this life.
od tog trenutka kreće često uspjeh ili neuspjeh mnogih u
But
životu.
pay attention to the last words
Ali pogledajte zadnje riječi
and the hopes of their future life.
i nade na budući život.
Sounds reversible?
Zvuči li povratno?
Sounds two-way?
Zvuči li dvosmjerno?
Marriage is something that will influence and affect your life, both in this world and in the world to come.
Brak je nešto što će utjecati i na vaš život u ovom svijetu i u svijetu koji dolazi.
So ask good questions.
Pitajte dobra pitanja.
When you think about marriage,
Kad razmišljate o braku
and when you think about the marriage vows,
i o zavjetu braka,
you're not just signing a contract with a judge. That's not what you're doing.
nije da samo potpisujete ugovor sa sucem.
Right? Like you can sign a contract, you can tear it apart.
Možete potpisati ugovor i kasnije ga pokidati.
You're making vows in front of the living God.
Dajete zavjete pred živim Bogom.
God does not recognize divorce.
Bog ne priznaje i razvod,
He does not accept remarriage.
ne prihvaća ponovni brak.
So making this decision wrong is an irreversible decision
I ova odluka, ako je počinjena pogrešno, je nepovratna,
with extreme consequences.
sa velikim posljedicama.
And it says here that once you ask the good questions, you analyze.
I piše ovdje kad pitate dobra pitanja i analizirate,
It says if there are no drawbacks, there is nothing, no red flags, right? There's nothing that seems to be indicating not to marry.
i ako nema nekih crvenih zastava, odnosno pokazatelja da se ne oženite, odnosno udate,
Then in the fear of God, move forward.
tada se u strahu Božjem krećete naprijed.
So this is interesting how it says here.
Zanimljivo što kaže ovdje.
I know some people, I've talked to some people, and they have different views and different worldviews and different opinions about this.
Pričao sam sa mnogim ljudima i imaju različite stavove i svjetonazore u
And
vezi
also
ovoga.
different experiences.
I drugačije iskustva.
Some people say, 100% sure, I was 100% sure beyond a shadow of a doubt that this is the man for me.
Neki kažu, bila sam 100% sigurna, bez ikakve sumnje da je ovo čovjek za mene.
Interestingly, Brother Radu talked yesterday about faith in God.
Brat Radu je jučer govorio o vjeri u Boga.
And he said that even for the faith in God, which is the foundation, God left room for doubt.
I čitali smo da čak i u vjeri u Boga, koja je kao temelj, Bog je ostavio mogućnost sumnje.
So if there was no room for doubt, it would be looking, it would not be believing.
Da nema mjesta sumnji, to ne bi bilo vjerovanje, već gledanje.
So we need faith, and it says here, in the faith and in the fear of God, move forward.
Znači, mi trebamo vjeru. I ovdje piše u vjeri i strahu Božjem krećete se naprijed.
And finally, what about spiritual decisions in our lives?
I konačno, što je sa duhovnim odlukama u našem životu?
Are they one way or two way?
Jesu li one jednosmjerne ili dvosmjerne?
Now think about it, please. Are they one way or two way?
Molim vas, razmislite o tome. Jesu li jednosmjerne ili dvosmjerne?
So, for example, if you decide to surrender your heart to the Lord, is it a one way decision? Irreversible?
Ako odlučite predati svoje srce Bogu, je li to povratna odluka?
Do we believe in the doctrine of once saved, always saved?
Vjerujemo li u doktrinu jednom spašen, zauvijek
Which
spašen?
means that a truly converted person can never fall, cannot, impossible.
Što znači da u potpunosti obraćena osoba nikad ne može pasti. Nemoguće.
We don't. We as Adventists don't believe that.
Ne vjerujemo. Mi kao adventisti to ne vjerujemo.
We believe that truly dedicated people, some of them have fallen from the Lord.
Vjerujemo da su neki potpuno posvećeni ljudi pali i odvojili se od Boga.
Okay, so this is not irreversible. How about the other question?
Znači, ovo nije povratno. Što je s drugim pitanjem?
How about committing a sin?
Što je sa počinjenjem grijeha?
In general, is that a one way?
Općenito, je li to jednosmjerno?
Well, we know we have a forgiving God.
Znamo da imamo Boga koji prašta.
And God asks us
I Bog nas traži
to forgive others.
da opraštamo drugima.
How many times?
Koliko puta?
Well, at least 490 times, right?
Barem 490.
7 times 70. That's what Jesus said to his disciples. You have to forgive many times.
7 puta 70, to je Isus rekao učenicima. Morate puno praštati.
And would God ever ask of you, human, to do more than He, God, does?
I bi li Bog ikad tražio od nas, ljudi, da činimo više nego što On čini?
So that implies that God forgives much more.
I to implicira da Bog čini puno više.
So we believe that our God is a merciful God who forgives.
Mi vjerujemo da je Bog milostiv, Bog koji oprašta.
So committing a sin, in general, is not a one-way thing. God forgives. God brings us back.
Počinjenje grijeha uopćenito nije jednosmjeran put. Bog oprašta i vraća
But
nas.
there are some interesting examples in the Bible where we understand an intriguing concept.
Ali postoje primjeri u Bibliji gdje razumijemo jedan zanimljiv i koncept.
Will Solomon be saved? Is Solomon saved? Yes or no?
Je li Salomon spašen? Da
Yes or
ili
no?
ne?
Well, it's interesting.
Zanimljivo je.
When we read the book Prophets and Kings,
Kad čitamo u prorocima i kraljevima,
it says that he sinned so much, he got so far from God,
piše da on toliko griješi, da se toliko udalji od
that
Boga,
he approached the line of no return.
da se približio granici nepovratka,
He almost made the step,
gotovo učinio korak
and then in the last moment God saved him.
i u zadnjem trenutku ga je Bog
And he
spasio.
repented.
I on se pokajao.
But there is a line.
Ali postoji linija, granica.
Do you know the story about the rich young man?
Znate li priču o bogatom mladiću
The one that approached Jesus because he was curious.
koji je prišao Isusu jer je bio znatiželjan?
He asked him what to do,
Pitao ga je što treba činiti.
and Jesus told him, "Follow me."
Isus mu je rekao slijedi me.
Now, Jesus did not say follow me to everybody.
Isus nije svima rekao slijedi me.
To some people, Jesus said, go back home and testify what God has done for you.
Nekim ljudima je Isus rekao vrati se kući i svjedoči o tome što sam učinio za tebe.
But to this young man, he said, follow me the same way he called Peter, the same way he called John, James, all of them.
Ali ovom mladiću je rekao slijedi me isto kao što je rekao Petru, Ivanu, Jakovu.
And he said, I don't know. I don't know.
I on je rekao ne znam,
I'm rich. I don't
ja sam bogat.
Right? And is there any more direct plea we can get from God than Jesus himself saying, follow me?
I postoji li veći poziv koji nam Bog može uputiti od slijedi me?
Never in his life he got the same call again.
Nikad u svojem životu se taj poziv nije ponovio.
And in the Desire of Ages we read that he continued serving the world until the end.
I u Želje vjekova čitamo da je on nastavio služiti svijetu do kraja.
And finally there's Judas.
I konačno je Juda.
It says that at some point he realized that Christ was offering spiritual good and not the worldly good together with it.
U Želje vjekova piše da je on u jednom trenutku shvatio da Krist nudi duhovna dobra više nego svjetska dobra.
And then he decided that Jesus would have no honor. He thought that.
I on je mislio da Isus neće imati čast.
And at that point, after some sermon which Jesus presented, he determined,
I nakon jedne propovjedi koje je Isus govorio, on je odlučio
I'm not going to unite myself closely to Christ.
da se on neće ujediniti blisko s Kristom.
I'm going to stay the disciple for now,
Za sad ću ostati učenik
and I will watch.
i promatrat ću.
I will observe to see what happens.
Gledat ću da vidim što se događa.
The other disciples,
Drugi učenici
they surrendered completely, right? With no restraints.
u potpunosti su se predali bez zadrške.
But he said that he would watch, and he did watch.
On je rekao da će gledati i gledao je.
Then, after some time, there was the Last Supper with Jesus.
Zatim, nakon nekog vremena su došli do posljednje večere sa Isusom.
And this Judas, which already determined not to get close to Jesus, was in an interesting situation.
I ovaj Juda koji je odlučio da se neće blisko povezati sa Kristom je bio u zanimljivoj situaciji.
Because Jesus bowed down to wash his feet.
Jer je Isus kleknuo da mu opere noge.
And at that moment, something passed through him.
I u tom trenutku nešto je prošlo kroz njega.
He felt an appeal as never before.
Osjećao je poziv i apel kao nikad prije.
He was attracted to Jesus.
Bio je privučen Isusu.
And there was a struggle. There was a struggle in his head.
I poslao je borba u njegovoj glavi.
And there were words in his mouth already. He was about to confess.
I već su bile riječi u njegovim ustima i bio je spreman
The
da
Desire of
prizna.
Ages tells that he was about to confess, I sold you for money.
Želja vijeka vam piše da je on bio spreman da prizna da je prodao Isusa za novce.
But then he recomposed.
Ali zatim se stabilizirao
And he said, nope, not doing that.
i rekao ne činim to.
And after this, and after Jesus told him what you're doing fast,
I kad mu Isus rekao to što čini brže,
it says that he left. He left the upper room.
piše da je on napustio gornju sobu.
He left the presence of his Lord
Napustio je prisutnost svojeg Gospoda
and his fellow disciples.
i njegovih učenika.
And at this point, the final decision had been made.
I u ovom trenutku konačna odluka je donesena.
So unlike Solomon,
Za razliku od Salomona,
he had passed the boundary line.
on je prošao granicu.
So when he closed the door to the upper room,
Kad je zatvorio vrata gornje sobe,
the door of grace was closed.
vrata milosti su se zatvorila.
There was no way the other way. He couldn't go back.
Nije bilo povratka.
So that means that we can cross the boundary.
To znači da mi možemo preći granicu.
And it says that in every age there is given to men their day or time of light and privilege.
Piše da je u svakom vremenu danom ljudima njihov dan svjetlosti i privilegija,
Time of probation, time of grace,
vrijeme probe i milosti,
where they can become reconciled to God.
u kojem se mogu pomiriti s Bogom.
But there is a limit to this grace.
Ali postoji limit ovoj milosti.
And mercy may plead for years.
Milost može moliti godinama.
God doesn't call just at one point.
Bog ne poziva samo u jednom trenutku.
Some people repent and make a decision at one point.
Neki ljudi se pokaju i donesu odluku u jednom trenutku.
And then everybody sees that and they say, wow, a sudden conversion.
I onda svi to vide i kažu, wow, iznenadna promjena.
But the Desire of Ages says that there is no sudden conversion.
Ali želja vjekova kaže da ne postoji jedno trenutno obraćenje.
That it's a result of a long and protracted process of Christ attracting us to himself.
Nego da je to dugačak proces u kojem ga je Krist privlačio sebi.
So this surrender happens at a moment when he makes an open plea, a more direct plea and saying, follow me.
Ova promjena se dogodi kad on odluči da kaže, da prihvati ovaj poziv da slijedi Krista.
And it says that mercy may plead for years and be rejected and slighted.
Piše da milost može moliti godinama i biti odbijana.
But there comes a time.
Ali dolazi vrijeme.
We don't know when that time is.
Ne znamo kada je to vrijeme.
We don't know what the time is for us.
Ne znamo kada je to vrijeme za nas.
When mercy makes her last plea.
Kad milost učini svoj posljednji poziv.
When Jesus makes his last plea.
Kad Isus učini svoj posljednji poziv.
And the heart becomes so hardened.
I srce postane toliko tvrdo
that it ceases to respond to the Spirit of God.
Da prestaje odgovarati na Božji duh.
Then the sweet winning voice
tada sladak pobjednički glas
entreats the sinner no longer.
više ne poziva grešnika.
This is a one-way path.
Ovo je jednosmjeran put
and it's irreversible.
I nepovratan je.
So the Holy Spirit is continually drawing the souls.
Sveti duh kontinuirano privlači duše.
And will continue to draw.
I nastavit će ih privlačiti.
Until by persistent refusal,
dok upornim odbijanjem
the sinner grieves away the tender messenger of God.
Grešnik odagna blagog Božjeg glasnika.
So there have been opportunities and there will be opportunities in your life to surrender.
Bilo je prilika i bit će prilika u vašem životu da se predate.
You will have opportunities. It could be in a seminar, it could be outside of the seminar.
Imat ćete prilika na seminaru ili izvan seminara.
When you will know, when you will be convinced that God is making a direct plea to you.
Kada ćete znati da Bog vrši izravan poziv za vas.
And that he's inviting you to surrender completely.
I da vas on poziva da se izravno predate.
That is a moment of decision.
To je trenutak odluke.
And it's an important decision.
I to je važna odluka.
Because we can make a mistake.
Jer možemo učiniti pogrešku.
So I wish for all of you tonight to experience the decision of surrender.
Želim za sve vas da iskusimo iskustvo predaje.
May God bless us all.
Neka nas Bog sve blagoslovi.
Amen.
Amen.